Hi, I'm Amara Charles. I'd like to welcome you to my masterclass, The 5 Surprising Shifts to Ignite Your Passion, Save Your Relationship, and Have Awesome Sexual Intimacy. That's what deeply bonded love is. I'm so happy you made it here. Now I invite you to sit back and relax and be distraction free. And go ahead and grab something to write with so that you can take some notes. All right, without further ado, we're going to dive right in because I have so much I want to share with you in a really short time. But before we get in, let's make sure you're in the right place and that this masterclass is a good fit for you. This is for midlife couples who are struggling with a lack of communication, a loss of intimacy, or a lack of trust. It is for women or men who are sick and tired of trying and failing and who are looking for a different approach. If that's you, this is indeed for you. You're in the right place at the right time. And here's what we're going to do. In about the next 30 minutes, I'm going to talk about how to say goodbye to a passionless, sexless marriage and instead feel closer and more intimate than ever, even if you're on the verge of divorce and you don't think anything can work. You'll learn how you can stop fighting and arguing over nothing without having to fix a single thing about yourself. I'll show you how to stop feeling like roommates rather than soulmates, even if you're not sure your partner even wants to save things. I'll show you how you can trust each other again, save your marriage or relationship, keep your family together, and finally feel peace in your home. You'll learn how you can get back to having carefree fun and amazing sex, both in and out of the bedroom, even if you haven't been close in months or even years. And I'm going to show you how to do all this without having to rely on date nights, sex toys, or having to open old wounds or bearing your heart and soul to a therapist. And here's my promise to you. I'm going to hand you a step-by-step strategy to save your marriage, put the fun back into your relationship, and feel closer and more intimate than ever. Now, I know that if you're currently in a relationship where the spark is totally fizzled out and you're barely speaking to each other, let alone making love, the thought of having a passionate, exciting, lust-filled marriage might seem impossible. But the good news I have for you is that where you are right now is exactly where my clients are when they first came to work with me. But today, they are more in love than ever with rock-solid marriages and having great sex regularly, even if they'd never really had great sex in their marriage. But before we get into all this, really quickly, I just want to check in with you and sort of see where you're at. Does any of this sound like you? Do you have sleepless nights where you stay in separate rooms or even 16 inches away in the same bed, but it feels like you're miles apart? Are you stressed, working way too hard and get triggered by rejections and frustrated by promises that don't happen? And every effort, anything you try eventually fizzles out? Do you dread certain holidays or times of year because they provoke a revolving door of conflict that happens over and over again? And you find yourself putting off intimacy for another day, but that day keeps getting pushed further and further away? Can you even remember the last time you felt truly fulfilled and happy being in each other's arms, smiling from head to toe? Do you secretly worry you're past your prime and that there's excitement about other people, but they don't look at you the way they used to and they don't give you the time of day? And finally, can you feel your partner is slipping away and you don't know how to get them back? If any of this sounds like you, then I have some good news. None of those things, believe it or not, are the real problem. The real problem is you haven't made what I call the shifts, and I'll explain what those are in just a sec. But right now, just know this. Once you make them, you'll look forward to coming home from work to spend time together. You'll have better, more connected sex than ever. You'll lose the worry and fear that your partner is getting bored and looking elsewhere. Once you make them, you'll start enjoying time with your friends, having relaxed holiday gatherings, and planning adventures together again. You'll start laughing and playing again, like you did when you first got together. And really quickly, let me introduce myself and tell you who I am and why you should listen to me. Basically, I've been doing this for over 3 decades, and I've helped thousands of couples have authentic, lasting passion through my work. And I actually have a best-selling book that's out in like 3 languages, and it's a crazy thing to think about how many lives I get to touch. But the thing I want you to understand is me and my colleagues use the same strategy we're about to teach you. It's no different whether you want to create a soulful, passionate marriage or rekindle your love life. It's all the same basic strategy. And I'm sort of known as the magic mentor because we specialize in helping couples embrace a really healthy and really positive acceptance of themselves and their sexuality. So we help ignite passion in soul-bonded marriages and all kinds of loving relationships. And what we found is that while sex certainly isn't everything in a relationship, when it's shut down or blocked, it's like having a hole in your ship and everything else suffers too. But on the other hand, when you feel close and truly excited to be together again, then the whole world feels right. So if that's what you're looking for, then you're definitely in the right place. Let me quickly tell you how we discovered these 5 shifts. I've been doing this for a while now, in my relationship for more than 18 years, and also traveling, teaching internationally, and reaching all types of people. And during that time, I've worked with thousands of women and men over the years where I just had a lot of opportunities to watch couples try to succeed in their relationships. And over time, I saw a lot of people who were in the space where maybe they had a great start, but their relationship collapsed and they got divorced and families fell apart and they couldn't sustain a healthy relationship. But at the same time, there were a handful of couples that were really just crushing it. They had like sort of the big 3. They had the communication they wanted, they were living the lifestyle they wanted, where they were able to have tremendous freedom to have family and friendships and do what they each wanted to do. And they also were making impact in the world. What I mean is, they joined their energy, their talents, and their resources as a team and harnessed it with purpose so that the relationship had meaning. The point is, they overcame personal blocks to intimacy, and therefore they had more energy to lead meaningful lives. And over time, I began to study what were the top things those couples were doing that everybody else was not. And I was curious to observe and really look at the things these super couples were doing that everybody else was not doing. So I began bringing these into my relationship, and the results were life-changing. It turned my life around in a big way. And once I understood and really tested this out myself, then and only then, we started teaching our clients the same things, and they were able to achieve incredible results too. So to make it really simple, I've distilled it down to just 5 essential, really doable shifts. And as you'll see, much of what I'm going to share with you is the dead opposite of what you were taught. Here's what's great. There are 5 essential shifts you need to restore trust, to fall back in love with yourself, and to fall back in love with each other all over again. Because that's what it's all about. And I'm going to walk you through all 5 shifts on this session. The first shift is to ask for what you want. Because if you don't ask for what you want, your relationship can't just magically give it to you. The number one reason couples don't make it is because partners are hiding. They hide the truth from themselves. They hide the truth from each other. And they stop asking for what they want. But why is it so hard to ask for what you want? And why do couples avoid the truth? I hear excuses like, well, I don't know what I want. But is that really true? You see, the reality is we all want pretty much the same things. And we get into relationships because we want care, affection, intimacy, and we want sex too, right? But far too often, we don't ask for it. So what's the real reason people can't or won't ask for what they want? It's because they're scared. They're afraid of hurting their partner's feelings and because they don't want to rock the boat. And it can be scary because asking for a change, asking for intimacy, asking to be held, and yes, asking for sex, even though you may be feeling lonely or starving for touch, asking often includes a risk that it might not happen. And you have to be vulnerable. But here's the thing. You can't just hide what you really want and expect things to be fine, because things aren't all fine. So there's tension, and you get irritated, and negative emotions stack inside until they come out someplace. That's why not asking for what you want will kill your relationship. You can't just deny yourself. You can't just ignore your needs. You can't stay too reserved to avoid asking for what you want, because if you stop asking, it means you are giving up on yourself and the relationship. But all this is the exact opposite of what you should do, because being too reserved and too comfortable is the final nail in the coffin of a relationship. Not asking for what you want is the death knell of your love and passion. So what's the solution? Bringing back that spark of excitement begins by being radically honest with yourself first about what it is you really want. Yes, it takes courage, but here's why asking for what you want is the absolute game changer you need to ignite your passion and feel 100% confident in yourself and your relationship. Number one, by daring to be radically honest, being vulnerable, and taking the risk of asking, it causes your partner to respect you for your courage to speak up. And number two, even if what you want isn't delivered on a silver platter right away, you get to let go of the burden of hiding and you get to stop suffering in silence. And the best part is, when you ask for what you want and you feel heard, you and your partner will get into an easy rhythm of communication, fully trusting, having fun, and seeing that sparkle in each other's eyes. And the bottom line is that asking is so much better than hiding, because asking for things like a romantic night or a walk under the stars, even if it doesn't happen right away, having the courage to ask relieves the stress of holding back. It builds back trust, because the more you ask for what you want, the more your partner feels relieved because they know what's going on with you. And here's what's always kind of gobsmacking for the couples I work with who start asking for what they want. They start feeling more confident and more sure of themselves. And as they speak up, they feel more powerful. And the best part of all is that they start feeling more attraction for each other. You see, it turns out hiding and holding back your needs and desires takes a toll on your health. It makes you hesitant. It causes distrust in your relationship, and it doesn't feel good. But asking for what you want with radical, heartfelt honesty makes you feel lighter and happier. Here's what I'm saying. This is from Brian, who before working with me felt totally frustrated because he felt like asking and being honest in his former relationships never worked. But within 6 weeks of asking for what he wanted the way I showed him, he wrote, "We took a walk in the woods, and I just said what I needed. And Sherry was starting to snap, but instead, she asked me about my view, and it changed everything. Before you know it, we were closer than ever." This is how honestly asking for what you want brings you closer. And it feels so much better than hiding and denying what you want. And it's always healing, because you can take away the guesswork, and it's totally worth the risk, because your communication, both speaking up and listening to each other, brings you closer. And what's great is, it shakes loose the things that have been keeping your relationship stuck in neutral gear, or worse, caught in a revolving door of conflict. And this takes us to the second shift, which is to have healthy fights. I know this might sound crazy, and you might say, can't we just get rid of fights altogether? And while that sounds like a nice idea, I want to keep it real, because over the course of your relationship, maybe you have said some not very nice things to each other where one of you walks away. Maybe there's been criticism, or you found out about something they were hiding, or maybe there's been cheating or betrayal, or one of you shuts down, so there's anger. And you find yourself getting trapped in frustrating loops where you don't want to say hurtful things, but you also know stuffing your emotions inside is going to come out sideways someplace. That's where the trouble is. And couples get hooked into reactions and defenses that get baked into the relationship. Whether you have the slow burn kind where barely anything is said and you stuff your feelings, or you have volcanic eruptions that shake the windows and doors. Either way, the number one reason couples separate and divorce is because they can't stop unhealthy cycles of conflict. Look, nobody actually likes walking around aggravated and angry, and no one enjoys walking on eggshells, trying to be nice, trying to avoid confrontations. So I get why many seek counseling to try and figure out what's wrong. Unfortunately, so many couples who try to stop fighting in conventional ways end up spending so much time trying to figure out how to get rid of negative stuff, and they talk and talk but wind up feeling more and more negative. Or, and I know I'm going to ruffle some feathers, a lot of people try to use the kiss and make up strategy. The trouble is, these are just band-aids, but the fights return, and after months or even years, the anger is still there. Anyone caught in cycles where you keep getting triggered and trapped into a revolving door of feeling ignored, disrespected, or feeling resentful, well, most people believe that stress and tense fighting is what rips apart the friendship and trust in their relationship. But I've got news for you. Conventional thinking has it backwards. It is absolutely possible to dramatically reduce debilitating conflict by having what I call healthy fights. A healthy fight is a 10 to 15 minute energized conversation where both parties gain energy immediately afterwards. And instead of trying to stop a confrontation, you give it space, and instead of trying to get rid of your differences, you actually gain energy from them. There's 2 reasons why unhealthy fights never work, and there's only one way out. First, emotions that come out when you fight cause your physiology to go bonkers. Your blood pressure rises.
Your heart races, and your brain is 100% fixated on what you see as a threat. It's called emotional flooding, and you go into fight, flight, or freeze mode, and from there you will never ever be at your best, and you will never resolve a conflict successfully. And here's why this is dumb. During each phase of this process, you both lose energy, and the longer it lasts, the more energy it takes to recover. You both suffer and lose energy, regardless of who's, quote, right or wrong. You both get pulled under by emotional overload. Even if you make up later, people, and convince yourselves it's not that bad, even if you kiss and make up later, you have set the dynamics and the pattern for every future fight. You've put a Band-Aid on it. Why would you expect the next fight to be any different? Look, you already know hunkering down into typical fight mode, whether it's barking, smoldering, ignoring, or leaving, none of it ever solves anything. But while knowing about emotional flooding is very helpful, it is not enough to massively reduce conflict and quickly resolve differences. It's the second piece that's the game changer. What if everything you thought was bad about fighting could actually be good for you? You see, the thing that keeps your fights going is the myth that says fighting is bad for your relationship. Conventional thinking says fights are what destroys your relationship. So on top of all that emotional and physical stress, you put yourself down for doing it. And furthermore, you expect it to ruin your health. None of this stops the fighting, and it never will. So here's what does. Cutting-edge research shows that some tension, the right amount of pressure, is actually advantageous. For example, it's been proven that students going into a test expecting that the stress of the test will cause them to get a higher score actually perform better than those who just try to relax and stay calm. Athletes who are told before races that stress can improve their running times actually perform better than those who dread stress and try to avoid it. It's exactly the same with conflict in your relationship. If you fold at the first sign of trouble, or if you dread conflict, it will get worse. But if you change your mind with a healthy conflict strategy and think about it in a new way, in other words, if you think a fight can be healthy, that a small amount of conflict can actually be good for your relationship, you will get less emotionally flooded, and you will be able to come to solutions and peace much more easily and much faster. Make sense? This is exactly what happened in my relationship. After some serious phases of escalated recurring tensions, my partner and I, even though we had done tons of work on ourselves, we just couldn't stop the tiffs, the irritations, and the stress that was getting worse no matter how hard we tried to stop it. So we were truly thrilled when we noticed after consistently using this healthy conflict strategy, the fights dramatically subsided, and now they seldom flare up at all. So I started sharing this with my clients, and here's just one example of proof that you really can reduce unhealthy fighting and get back to that love and tenderness and passion that brought you together in the first place.
Meet Sam and May, who had a beautiful family and great careers, but there were addictions, and they also fought, and their kids saw it, and the tension pervaded their home. They were terrified their fights would give Sam another heart attack, but no matter how hard they tried, they just couldn't stop. So we showed them how to create a healthy conflict strategy to radically change the way they've been communicating, and within a month, the fights dramatically subsided. And 6 weeks later, May sent this. I had some incredibly wonderful breakthroughs with my husband. We're spending more time together, sharing more, and learning what it means to be heard and to be understood. I had the best sex I've ever had in the past 2 weeks. I'm able to let him know when he said or done something that hurt me, and he's truly sorry instead of deflecting and stonewalling. I never thought I would be here. That is how the power of having a healthy conflict strategy heals the past and brings you closer. And this takes us straight to the third shift, which is to use the secret weapon, which is called the heart transmutation method. Here's the old way of trying to save your marriage. The old way is to try going on date nights, reading the 5 love languages or the Kama Sutra, trying out sex tips or toys, leaving the kids with the parents, hiring a counselor, going to workshops or taking vacations. But you don't need to do any of that stuff. Here's the new way. Step 1. Use the heart transmutation method. Step 2, bring your heart back into your relationship. Step 3, ignite that spark and save your relationship. It's as simple as that. The heart transmutation method is a unique, psychologically proven system that combines modern cutting-edge psychology, ancient spirituality, and your connection with your partner. And when all three of these components work together, it allows you to bridge that gap between the two of you, put an end to arguments, ignite the spark, and feel like you're finally on the same page again, even if you feel like that ship has sailed. The reason most systems fail is because they only use one of these three components, but never together. They either try to rescue the spark or they use psychology, but none of them use all three to bring your heart back into your love life, which creates the foundation for a sound relationship. Why does this work so well? Because when these components are working together using these 4 steps, here's what happens. First, you awaken your interest in sex while going at your own pace. Second, you rejection-proof your relationship so you're not walking on eggshells or trying to avoid getting rejected one more time. And you remove the pressure. And when the pressure isn't there, you start feeling horny. And then it gets good. And since the love chemicals are finally stirring, you start wanting each other more. And what's cool is the more you want to make love, the more you want it. So instead of being a bore and a chore, it's easy. And you want to touch each other. And you want to connect deeply. And you get that feeling of oblivion. Remember that feeling? And then when you get up and you go look in the mirror and you go, oh, that was so nice. And here's why the secret sauce works so well. Are you ready for it? You let men be men and women be women. So men get to lead, women get to relax, and you both get to stop thinking so much. And when the heat gets going, the roles can reverse. And this is what melts your hearts wide open and makes you twitch in excitement again and again and again. This is the missing ingredient that revives your drive and brings back that spark to create the foundation for a sound relationship. Does that make sense, everyone? Meet Jennifer and Andy, who were in a loveless marriage for 20 years. After finding out about his infidelity, she was thinking about divorce, but was shocked to learn her husband had already filed divorce papers and was talking to an attorney. I started with her, and I showed her how to apply the heart transmutation method, and here's what happened. They were both skeptical at first, but in a couple of weeks, they started to notice they were both talking and laughing more, and her interest in sex quietly started coming back. She noticed her husband was touching her differently, and she said it felt like there was no agenda. And for him, the fear of getting rejected just wasn't happening. And 4 months later, their marriage took off, and just the two of them went on a getaway retreat. And my favorite thing is to get texts like this one. Hey, Amara, greetings from Hawaii. I just have to tell you how great it is seeing Jennifer smiling again. And the best part is that my wife doesn't even know I'm using the things you showed me. This is what happens when you bring your heart back into your relationship. Your attitude about sex changes. It feels better, and you both want to make love more sensuously and more frequently. So let's do a quick recap. So far, we know you can ask for what you want, have healthier fights that bring you closer, and use the heart transmutation method to bring your heart back, ignite the spark, and revive your drive. And the 4th shift is to create a new operating system that takes this spark into your everyday. So you not only argue less, you also create peace in your home. Here's why old operating systems take the oxygen out of your relationship. The problem with our old operating systems is that they run on other people's rules that come from childhood events, or they're based on what your parents thought you should do, or they come from past relationships that had a different set of circumstances. And while some rules, like who puts the kids to sleep or who walks the dog, work really well, your old rules that are unconsciously operating on automatic, like not asking for what you want, always deferring to what your partner wants, putting yourself down, or always pleasing. Those are the unconscious operating systems that keep you having the same conversations, the same arguments that eventually cause boredom in the bedroom. These are the kind of old automatic rules that are kryptonite to your relationship and that you need to replace. A new operating system is a simple set of new ground rules you agree on that make your life work better. When you get this right, it's a new way to start fresh. Speak your truth and feel completely heard. You get to tell your partner what really doesn't work for you. And you also get to create ways to do more of what does work, like having quality time together, giving each other space while being more supportive and more intimate than ever. And here's how it works. There are 4 pillars that create a new operating system. First, you get crystal clear about what you want based on your current needs and desires. Then you weed out what hasn't been working. And as you apply your new ground rules, you build back a new track record of integrity that helps you repair past mistakes and bust old patterns. And most of all, you get to unite as a team. So it's you and your partner facing the world together on the same page, no matter what. And when all of these four pillars are working together, it allows you to give your relationship another chance. It gives you time to prove you really care. Bring back excitement, not just in words, but in your actions. I'd like you to meet Chris and Monique, who'd been married for 15 years, but were living apart because he wanted an open relationship, and she didn't. I started with Chris, showing him how to create ground rules for more honest communication. And even though at first he thought there was too much water under the bridge, after just 2 weeks, he realized mistakes were made, but it didn't mean it was over. And once they built a new track record of integrity, they went from being on the verge of divorce to deciding to stay married in just 8 weeks. And a few weeks later, Monique wrote, "Thank you for creating this safe container for us to grow back towards each other. I came to this to heal my wounds and to see if there was something left in our relationship, to really feel trust and courage in myself and in him. That's what I needed to have to be open to engage with my husband again." And 4 months later, she sent me this post. "Unbelievable. He gives me foot massages now. Who is this man?" This is how creating a new operating system works to save your relationship and start fresh, so you can finally move forward, have more trust in yourself and in your partner. It takes you from hitting that brick wall and wondering if you're incompatible to being best friends, best lovers, and having a relationship you feel proud of, even if you bit the dust many times before. It's really that simple. Today I promise to show you how to say goodbye to a sexless, passionless marriage, how you can stop arguing and fighting over nothing, how you can trust each other and have peace in your home so you can get back the excitement and have carefree fun both in and out of the bedroom. And I promise to show you how you can have a happier, healthier relationship without having to use date nights, read tons of books, or stir up old things from the past. The fifth shift is to invest in mentoring, which is the glue that holds all this together. I believe everyone should have a mentor. Mentorship brings two things: new ideas and accountability. There are new ideas you have right now that wouldn't be there if you didn't take time to watch this masterclass. And the thing is, without new ideas, you won't be able to do things differently. And without accountability to keep you on track, it's too easy to take 1 step forward and 2 steps back. And here's how it works. The reason regular counseling doesn't really work is you spend too much time and too much focus talking about the past without knowing the steps you need to take to save your relationship. What you need is a mentor who also focuses on reviving intimacy and excitement, and not just on keeping you together, so you can have new experiences of feeling close without being stuck in the past. A trusted mentor takes away the guesswork and the confusion of trying to work out things you can't see on your own. And most important, investing in a mentor is going to show you the ropes, guide you through hurdles, and not only make the shifts happen, it'll make them happen faster and easier for you. So I recommend you find the best mentor out there and invest what it takes to work with them, so you can rekindle that spark from the early days and never have to think about being left on your own because you're waking up day after day feeling happy to be alive. Now you have a choice. You can take all that I've given you and you can go back to your reality, and everything will be the same. You can go back to feeling like glorified roommates rather than soulmates. You can go back to the same fights and arguments, arguing over nothing, getting irritated over money, avoiding sexual connections, worrying about divorce, thinking your partner might be eyeing up on other people. You can go back to all that stuff that keeps you feeling distant. Or you can start feeling totally confident in yourself and your relationship, having regular sex, amazing sex, and you can start having honest conversations, fully trusting yourself and your partner, seeing them look at you with that spark, being like teenagers again, rekindling the excitement like when you first met, and never needing to think about other people because you're so damn happy right now. So if you're ready to see new sides of yourself and truly cherish your relationship the way you've always wanted to and try a new approach, then here's how I can help. I've set aside some time in the next 48 hours to speak to you personally for free about how you can apply these ideas to your relationship today. Whatever your challenges are, we've seen it and we know how to overcome it. By the end of this free session, you'll walk away from this call knowing exactly what to do to restore trust in yourself and each other, even if what you tried before didn't work. And in case you're wondering why we do this because we absolutely love transforming people's relationships. And we also know you might want help applying some of these ideas into your relationship. But there is a catch. This call is not for everyone. This is for those ready to make your relationship a top priority. If you are done suffering and you're clear that time is precious and you don't have time to waste with confusing guesswork, then book a complimentary call with me. On the phone, we'll also take some time to see if we're a fit to work together. And if not, no matter what, you are going to get major value, massive clarity, and you're going to know what your next steps are to get your goal. I also like to mention you are most welcome to come on the call by yourself. Some say it takes two to tango, but the reality is it only takes one to initiate a change. Most people start by themselves. So if it's you who's ready to hop on a call first, that's normal. It happens all the time. So don't wait and don't waste time, because you can either have your partner join or we can speak together privately. So if that's you, here's what you need to do. Go to amaracharleslove.com/apply. That's amaracharleslove.com/apply. And book a session with me. Now, spaces are very, very limited because there's only one of me. So don't delay and book your call now. And what's going to happen next, you'll be taken straight to my calendar. Just look for a time that works for you. And as I said, these get booked really quickly, so hopefully you can find a time. Once you've got this, you'll be guided to fill out a short but very important application form. You need to fill out that form, which is really important because I need to see this and have it in front of me before your call. So if you're done with the old ways that just aren't working for you, and you're ready to jump in and try a new approach, if that's you, don't hesitate to book your call with me. I promise you, it's going to be truly valuable time working on yourself and your relationship. I'm looking forward to connecting with you on a call. So let's talk soon.